Hi, I'm Tim, and welcome to Watches Tonight. Thank you for joining me.
Hey guys, welcome back. Happy Friday. Another episode of the Trading Desk. My name is Jason Main. You guys know who I am. You've seen this guy once or twice on the show. He's back.
A couple times.
And if you're getting into the hobby, this is a great, quick case study in mistakes I and others have made, so you don't have to. I've learned parts of this at almost every turn of my life, but some of it's watch-specific. General lessons. Colleges and lawyers with the best commercials generally are the ones you should avoid. Other lessons. I've learned about watches too. For example, the brand equity and strength of a company's brand image and ability to sell its watches at list in general is inversely proportional to the number of airplanes and or pilots in its advertising. Moreover, that goes double when the ads include airplanes and celebrity pilots. True fact. Life lessons. Now, tonight, I'm sharing a handful of the lessons I've learned during my time in the watch space. As a collector and an employer and employee of several vendors of ever-escalating scale and stature, I've seen quite a few common mistakes, and I've almost caught myself making a few of these over the years. First, failing to opt for the bracelet. This is a cardinal sin of watch buyers, especially those who do buy new. Here's why. When I was in the Navy, this is an example, I would have paid less, but orders of magnitude are equal at every given price point. So I could have bought the original Omega X33 on a bracelet, full titanium Omega factory bracelet, for around $1,000. I could have had the same watch on the Kevlar strap for $700. This was the military purchase program. You got it basically at cost. So I can promise you that the cost of buying that bracelet after the fact, even for a Swatch subsidized service member, was not $300. This continues upon resale. You're not going to ask only a $300 premium for that watch on the bracelet versus a strap when you go to sell it again. Now, look to our lessons from earlier portions of the show. You saw that the Omega Seamaster Moonwatch coaxial chronograph cost $100 more if you wanted to upgrade from a strap to a bracelet. $100 buy-in to upgrade to a bracelet that would cost most of $1,000 if you bought it as an accessory. That is a no-brainer. That is literally a no-brainer. Literally any celebrity on TMZ would be smart enough to make that choice. Don't be that guy. Okay. Now, you might even love the bracelet. This is the part where you could be taken by surprise. You might not be a bracelet guy, you might love it, and you've saved yourself $100 to $300 every 6 to 12 months buying a new strap. That is an advantage that just compounds over time. And I have to say, not buying the bracelet on an already expensive luxury watch is like taking a $2,000 deductible and declining rental car coverage on your auto insurance so you can save $5 a month on your premium. Not worth it. Guys, unless we're talking a crazy precious metal watch where the upcharge is going to be tens of thousands of dollars, get the bracelet, please. And for the sake of added value, durability, and retained value, plus the ability to get it wet without a second thought, just go for the bracelet. The investment will pay off when it comes time to sell, if nothing else. Put it away in your safe deposit box, put it on a strap, save that bracelet, you'll want it later. Now, the next big question people make. This is where you need to be a good active listener and a critical thinker. Don't just look at the listing and read the description and scrutinize the photos. Failing to ask questions is one of the biggest mistakes people make when buying a watch. Here's where people fall by the wayside in the process. The first thing is that they don't discuss the terms of return and the approval. If you don't buy your seller before you buy the watch, you've failed. You've set yourself up with a huge liability, and it's going to blindside you if you want to return that watch. And the person says, materials and workmanship defects only. If it doesn't fit you or you simply don't like the watch, it would have been great if you knew beforehand if buyer's remorse or no questions asked were the return policy. That's the first thing to ask. Second, why isn't the bank on the wire instruction anywhere near the claimed location of the shop? If the claimed location of the shop is in Paris, France, and the bank is located on a Russian naval base in Crimea, problem. Don't pass go. Do not pay $200 or any amount of dollars. Now, set the time to a specific hour and minute. Here's the deal. Look at the watch. Everyone sets watches to the same time online. It's a very generic look. It's going to be sometime between 10:05 and 10:12. So, If you have any questions about actual inventory versus phantom inventory, ask for a weird time. I like to ask that the watch be set to 347, 317, or 551, something that no default photo would depict. If you get a photo of the watch set to the requested time or times, good news, the seller has the watch. That's the bare minimum to sell you the watch. Okay, finally, request extra photos. You can lie by omission. Commission by omission is a favorite of online sellers. Don't let the seller show you only what the seller wants to show. The seller is showing you photos that tell the best possible story about the watch. Case back removed might reveal something like this. Movement shots, mandatory on a vintage timepiece. You don't see a movement shot, something's gone wrong, especially on an old Rolex like that, which Rolex itself will not service. So always get photos of the side of the case that's not depicted. Get photos of the piece of the dial you can't see in the off-center image. Get photos of the movement of the case shot. Get photos of the interior of the lugs to see if they've been gouged by strap tools. Just get a picture of anything that's not depicted, because half the time there's a reason for that, and it's not negligence.
I was in the shop downstairs, and I wanted to touch on
the Seamaster.
The Seamasters. So I talked about this in the last episode, and these are, I think, fall really well into the Weekend Warrior catalog. Granted, price range, maybe not a Weekend Warrior for everybody. And I don't want to get the guys that are like, oh, that's a $5,000 watch. You're crazy. That's not right. So that's why I say it depends on what you can justify. But they are in the realm of the criteria. Both watches are completely, resistant to water, beyond a degree of discretion. I mean, the bracelets are bulletproof. But really, the reason why I grabbed these two pieces is this is the newer generation with the new wave dial, if you guys can see there. So they've upgraded this to a 42 millimeter case. There's a bunch of different new upgrades which we can go over, and then right next to it, this is its 41 millimeter brother. This is not the original, but it was the current generation before the new wave came out. So this is the first one to get ceramic.
It's so interesting to see
next to each other.
Yeah, because this is my first time. I saw the new version blue we had at the office, and I tried it on and thought it was pretty cool. But to see the previous version versus the new one and the little differences, and it's like I really don't know if I like the new version that much.
It's definitely something to take in. So we can get a couple different shots. I noticed a bunch of different stuff. I put the 42 on my wrist, and I was really excited to get one. I was actually gonna go ahead and buy one of these from the Basel announcement before I saw the watch, and I still am not quite sure. So you get the exhibition case back, right, with the new movement and the scalloped. You see the scallop, which matches the bezel, which is beautiful. This is a big win for the 42, in my opinion. Now, some things for me, that's really the only win. Besides this new, which you can get this upgrade for the Planet Ocean and for this Seamaster, the older one. But this has the push adjustment, similar to the other Omegas. That's a great win. So I think you really need something like that when you're dealing about competing with the Submariner or whatnot. You can see one of the things. You see how high that the markers come off that dial.
Yeah, so they're
very
chunky.
Pronounced. They're very chunky. I don't necessarily mind the date at the 6 o'clock, but for me, I wish that the wave was deeper. And I wish the markers weren't as pronounced.
I agree. The original wave was really nice because it was very subtle, and you really could only tell in a certain light the wave. And now the lines are very, very pronounced and very, very light. The date is interesting because I don't know if it's that I mind the date at 6 or I like the fact that with the date at 3, the bars were kind of different. So especially now you have those two bars kind of parallel to each other, so it kind of changes the look. And then with me, the bezel. So I don't know if I dislike all the wider the bezel, or maybe I wish the triangle at the top of the bezel there wasn't fully outlined. I feel like that just kind of throws me off versus the older one where you still have an outline bezel. The triangle is still there, but it's very, very light compared to this. This almost seems like we charged up the loom or something like that. It's just very, very
so you have
pronounced and bright.
On the newer one, you have the full enamel all the way into the ceramic, is what Sequan's talking about. So you see how the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, they're all bright white as opposed to that really like kind of smoke gray or silver onset into the ceramic. So one of the things, if we close up on this dial here, is I really like little finishing touches, like how they're applied markers, but they're very thin, somewhat like a Submariner. The date window is in the proper position, and again, not a big gripe for me, but I do like it a little bit better. There's little things like the applique to the outside of the date window, the lacquer on the inside, so you got a silver ring and then like a black lacquer before the date, which just kind of looks more rich. I prefer the thickness of this watch more than the newer one, which is a little fatter on the wrist, or wears a little thicker than the case. Also the buckle on this piece. Now the downfall with this buckle, and you can see the closed case back, this does not have the exhibition case back, which I think is 1 point out in its favor, or out of its favor. But if you look at how thick the buckles are, look how big this new buckle is compared to the older buckle. And I think that might be one, them making the bracelet wider, fitting the case a little bit better, but also you have that adjustment in here. And I think it just, they had to balance the watch out a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence, but I think I'm definitely leaning in the direction of the ceramic. And when we talk, on the show all the time about value retention, what you put in for what you get out, I think it makes sense to buy something like this one, where you can go get
the newer retail on this.
They're like right under $6,000, I think.
So not too bad.
But again, like the LHD, you could buy this watch for $3,500.
Yeah, and it's a win. It's a win. Even the older ones, to be honest, we still get so many buy requests for older Seamaster 300s. They still trade so well. It's a classic, so it's really hard to. Anytime a classic is updated, it's always polarizing. I think for Omega, they have so many classics that sometimes they get forced into like, well, let's change this and let's change this a little bit. So this is in no ways a bad update at all. It's just after holding the classics and me and you both selling both classic Seamaster 300s, I feel like there's a little bit more character in the older versions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if you want to go character, now the older 300 meters, right? Like the actual bonds with the wave dials, blue and blue, with the aluminum bezels that are kind of starting to age a little bit. Like those have character. Those you can get for, an automatic. You can find those as cheap as $2,000.
Yes, sir.
And those things are bomb proof. You service it, it'll be good forever. Those are great watches. And what I will say is when this came out, I thought it was a worthy upgrade. And it made sense because it was graduating the piece to a new technological advance, right? You had the ceramic, you had the newer movement, you had solid end link bracelet. It felt substantial. This, I feel like, if I already own this, I don't know that I'd go out and buy this watch.